48% of Texas secondary students used alcohol, tobacco, and inhalants, steroids, and illicit drugs during the past school year, including the past month. 69% reported using some type of substance in their lifetime. More than 1 in 5 eighth graders had a drink in the past month, and more than 69% of 12th graders were current drinkers. According to the Department of State Health Services Texas School Survey, marijuana remained to be the most common and illegal drug use among secondary students. About 26% in 2006 reported having smoked marijuana in their lives. About 22% of secondary school students reported binge drinking in the previous month. That means 5 or more drinks per day at a time. The lifetime use of alcohol among secondary students was about 66%. Some of the reasons why teens started using drugs was that everyone was doing it. Teens are excellent observers, and they see TVs, magazines, music, their parents, and watch and pay attention and use some of the same drugs and alcohol that their parents and other social issues will drive them toward. Peer pressure is one of the main reasons why they start using. It gives them a way to socialize and helps them to feel as though they fit in. Many teens report that boredom is one of the primary reasons why they use substances. It gave them a feeling of excitement or euphoria, and it gave them a common ground with other friends who reported the same restless feelings, and created an instant bond for those students to hang out together. Some other reasons that they used were rebellion. Teens used it as a way to express anger at their parents. Many of them used alcohol and methamphetamines as a way to encourage their aggressive behavior towards their parents. They weren't able to express those feelings, and alcohol and methamphetamines were a primary way for them to muster the courage to address their parents that way. Marijuana was a way for them to avoid their lives. It gave them a sense of being able to check out, so to speak. Many of the students who used LSD reported that they used the substance for an escape, and primarily because they felt as though they were misunderstood and were looking for a place that they could fit in, and that was typically a fantasy. Tobacco was one of the primary ways that they could begin to flaunt their independence towards their parents in a way that was legal, but still allowed them the ability to assert that independence in a way that their parents would not be too willing to reject. Many teens reported a lack of confidence. Teens seem to function out of two primary emotions, fear and desire. The fear was a fear of rejection and a desire for acceptance, which we begin to recognize are the exact same thing. They tended to compare their insides to other people's outsides. How they felt inside was different than what they saw presented by their fellow peers, and felt as though they were the only ones who had those significant emotions. Teens reported that they used due to a lot of parental cues. They would see their parents come in after having partied for a night and had been drinking. They had seen them using substances and giving a subtle permission for their use. A lot of the reasons that they reported using were some of the emotional climates within the home. Many of the homes were broken homes and or had a two-parent family in which the contention between the parents was fairly significant. Many teens reported that they needed a feeling of escape, and that after they had tried substances, that they felt the need for self-medication. Once they had recognized that there was a euphoria, that it did work for them, that they were able to forget about their problems and allow them some way or some outlet for their frustrations and emotions. It gave them an instant gratification. They recognized that alcohol and drugs worked quickly for them, that if they were angry, if they were upset, if they had any negative emotion, that they could use alcohol and drugs, and that it would quickly and rapidly change their emotions to something that they're more comfortable with. They realized that it was a short-term shortcut to happiness. Whatever emotion that they were dealing with at the time, they could use and end up feeling like they were happy, and or that they were able to forget whatever issues or troubles that they were faced with. Some of the protective factors for kids that reduce their risk, and we find that there are strong and positive family bonds, the parental monitoring of children's activities and their peers when parents were more willing and more likely to be involved in their lives, then the reduction of their substance use was dramatic. And according to the Partnership for a Drug-Free America, many of these reasons were seen throughout a wide variety of age groups and grades. The National Institute for Drug Abuse, and in their drug abuse prevention research, showed that many of these protective factors were consistent with all age groups: high school, elementary, and junior high. When parents had clear rules of conduct that were consistently enforced within the family, we saw a dramatic decrease in the use of the students. When the students had a success in the school performance, the strong bonds with the institutions, such as school and religious organizations, when they were a part of the athletics and different student groups, and they did better. Or when they had a peer group that adopted the conventional norms and had a negative drug use. So we see that the probability that our teens will be around drugs and alcohol is high, and that parental participation in their lives is the #1 deterrent for their using drugs. And it is a proven fact that teens cannot smoke pot underwater. So take time to take your kids swimming. Thank you.